Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us, and that helps the bands and artists like Gale Bird. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from one of my favorite cities in the country, Charleston, South Carolina, welcome Gale Bird. Well, Sean from Gale Bird. How are you, my friend?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. And we try to tell people it's not the best city in the world because it's getting a little crowded here. We had a lot of people moving in. So chill out, guys.
Exactly.
It's a great city. Oh my God, it's beautiful. We love it.
You're becoming like the Nashville, right, of the South now. Everybody's coming, right?
Exactly. That's what it feels like. Except for it's not music. It's a lot of new factories opening up, and Boeing's here. Volkswagen, I think, just put one in. Mercedes. Getting a lot of people, but it's great.
So you guys born and raised then, or anybody transplant, or what's the story behind?
Yeah, so Gale Bird consists. There's 7 or 8 of us that will play live, but mostly it's the consistent few are myself. My name is Sean. My buddy Joshua Gale. He's the lead singer, and then his wife Melissa sings as well, and we're all writers for the band. So I grew up here, been here pretty much my whole life, and Josh, who's born out in Texas, and moved here, I think around high school. And so we met in college. He was at a college here locally. I was downtown, and we started playing some music together.
So, I mean, if you're an artist nowadays in the city of Charleston, I mean, I know about the Poorhouse, I know about Windjammer, I know about places like that, but like, if you're starting out, like, what is Charleston like for like the music scene for indie artists?
Man, that's been really hard. We've been trying to figure that out for a number of years now. If you got a pretty solid band that can play covers for 3 hours, there are gigs galore. All the bars need that. Although COVID kind of drove out some of the full bands, it's more the acoustic solo acts at a lot of places now. But for us wanting to do original music as kind of our main thing, it's been limited. So Poorhouse is great. We just played out there, had a great show. Windjammer is great too. We haven't played there yet, but a lot of those places are kind of leaning more now towards the jam band scene. That's really big here in Charleston. We get some good bands that'll come through. But there's a couple little spots. So we play over at this place in Awendaw, which is just north of the city, called Awendaw Green. Just a kind of outdoor barn feel. It's great for kind of the acoustic country vibe, bluegrass. We'll still make it a rock show a little bit, but that's a fun place. So we've had to journey and search and network and figure out what that looks like. And it's been slower because of that. But I think it's been worth it because we know other artists that they're writers and they're trying to do their own thing, but they get sucked into the busyness of the cover world just to keep bills paid, and you kind of lose steam quick that way. It's hard to keep momentum with writing when you're exhausted from being out every night till 2.
Well, I mean, talk about just the balance between, the art and it being a commodity. Like that's such a huge balance that artists have to kind of get over. How do you guys, deal with that as a band?
Man, so that is so interesting. When I was in college, so I studied music in college. I went to College of Charleston, studied jazz guitar and composition, and I was always of the mindset, because of the way kind of the culture was there, of like the ultimate form of music was jazz, and there's this like sort of snobbery to anything else, and the way you rate someone's musicianship was how well they played technically, how much they knew, how much, what crazy changes they could play over. And so I was kind of in that world, and I wasn't very successful at it because I wasn't able to keep up with some of the other players. But I was fighting for it. And then I meet Josh, who he's a great musician, but he's not going that direction. He is a master storyteller, marketing mind, salesman, entertainer, and he thrives on a stage. And so when I started doing things with him, I very quickly realized that my little limited view of what music was supposed to look like to my professors was so small. And that at the end of the day, music doesn't really mean a whole lot on a public scale if nobody's there to hear it. And so there's something to, if it's a tool for communication, when I can partner that with a good story, and when I can partner that with the right, moments in a live show, and the showmanship, the entertainment, it's entertainment at the end of the day. That I've learned so much through him. So it's been fun. We work really well together. He provides a lot of that side of it, and then I direct the band, and I'll sing too, but I'm more so on the music director side for the group, and I produce in the studio. So it's worked really well. We've had a good partnership, but you're right. You have to, find that balance, and it is tough.
Do you feel like by having specific roles in the band, within the band, do you feel like that creates success, or is that kind of a byproduct of it?
I think for us, we never have labeled these roles. I think, at this point, I'd like to say we've kind of grown humble through our journey. So we realize where our weaknesses are and where we're still growing. And so because of that, we will naturally fall into places that we have strengths, and it doesn't limit us. I'm still trying to work on my side of helping, in the storytelling with a lot of the writing. I love writing. And so that's a great opportunity for me to see another side of music. And so we'll stretch ourselves, but at the same time, we have kind of found those roles that work really well. And it works outside of the music too. One thing I've learned with this band is, being a part of a group like this, where you have a sense of ownership. It's the first time I've been in a band where I'm writing and I'm invested, and, we're not making a ton of money, but I'm still pouring a ton of heart into this. Up until now, I've been contracted with groups, and, they're paying me to show up and play their songs, but this is, partly my baby. And so there's just a different weight to it, which makes it special. So I think we're all working together as a team, both on the stage and then off stage. We're all good friends. We kind of live life together. And Josh is actually a business partner of mine with a couple businesses we run to help fund the music and make that happen. Okay. So yes, I think we've had to navigate that, but we've naturally found our little sweet spot.
So being in a band with a married couple, are you currently in a relationship as well?
Yes. So I'm married. My wife is not a part of the band. She's amazing, but has chosen to not play music. And we have 2 kids. Josh and his wife Melissa have 4 kids. So it is quite the dynamic. And there's so many bands that are out touring, and their goal is to stop touring. Like they want to be in the studio. As they get older and they start having relationships, having a family, it's tough on the road. And so our approach has been kind of different. We've been fortunate that we've played a few live shows. We played a few live shows before we got signed, but we got signed relatively early with a label. And so we were in the studio kind of first, and we're now branching out and starting to play. So we're trying to figure this out a little different. We're never going to be able to tour 300 days a year. We're always going to be limited to smaller runs, and we're trying to actually plan 2026 right now and figure out, like, okay, where does this line up with, school and the kids, soccer and all that stuff. We both have our families to work with. And it is interesting too, having 2 of the 3 main members of the band be married, and then myself. Right. Communication can be tricky between the 3 of us. So we've had to navigate that. And sometimes it's a little bit of conflict and hard discussions. But at the end of the day, we've been really blessed to have a great relationship that we've been able to kind of last so far.
Yeah. This is not like saying anything about them because I've never met them, but are are you like the three of you, is your relationship strong enough with them that can you, when they walk into a room, can you sense if there's any tension between the two of them, or is that not like on your radar ever?
Honestly, I think it's not. I'm not the most observant person. I think that's more the issue. they, if they have issues, they probably show it. But I there have been times when I've noticed it, and then it's hard to figure out. All right, we're with the group of 8 at a rehearsal. When do we pull aside and just the 3 of us talk? Or so yeah, that is typically difficult. But I'm not very observant with that. My wife will tell you. I'm working on it.
You know, musicians do, and songwriters especially. I mean, you guys have it so hard because think about it. Like most of the best songs, and if you talk to any songwriter, like most of your best songs that you write are based out of heartbreak or out of pain or misery, right? But, you know, in the end, we all want to be happy and like, live like this daily happy life. Do you find that that's an issue for you as a songwriter?
Absolutely. So it would be interesting. I do wish Josh was here to talk on this because his approach is he feels like there's enough, sad
Yeah.
type songs in the world that we as Galebird want to write things more encouraging. Now that doesn't mean it's not coming out of a hard place. A lot of our songs are encouragement to ourselves to push through hard times with relationships and with marriage specifically. And so they sound positive, but they're deep, inside of us because, for example, we've got the song "I Still Do." The whole concept is, if I had to do it again, even 15 years later, I would still say "I do" to my wife. And that came out of, a fight for them 13 years into marriage where they're struggling. And Melissa just asked Josh, "Would you still marry me?" And so some of these songs have deep stories that are tied to, really personal moments for us. But our goal for Galebird is that we can say something that encourages us to be better in our marriages and our relationships. And then we've found that our audience really is encouraged as well. And that's been a really cool outcome of our writing. Now, you asked me personally, I write songs all the time that are based out of my emotions, and I'm all over the place sometimes. So I find it very therapeutic, and I usually write those and store those away for another time. And Galebird is going to end up being more the positive stuff. But oh, yeah, absolutely. I write out of heartbreak for sure.
And that's why I asked you that because, after listening to you guys, the positivity is just overflowing. And I love that, like musically, I get a lot of strumbellas. Are you a fan of the strumbellas or have you ever heard of the
I
strumbellas?
have not. No, I've not.
They're a Canadian band,
Okay.
but a lot of people, if you first listen to them, you'd write them off as just, oh, they sound like Mumford and Sons. But if you really listen to them, like they're a lot more poppy, but they have like the same sort of instruments that, like banjo, like, or,
Yeah.
acoustic guitar. But you guys have that like vibe. And yeah, so it's great. And I can sense in the lyrics that like the three of you do you kind of go over with each other like after you write the lyrics to kind of like make sure that everybody's on the same page? Or is that not, you kind of let that go with each song?
I think that's another thing that we've really grown when we first started. So we were both in college. This is, I don't know, 15 years ago. It was a little harder to write back then. We had a little more pride involved. And it was, it was kind of like, this is my baby, my song. I don't want you messing this thing up. And so it was tough. And a lot of it, Josh was the one that started the band. And so a lot of the stuff was just his stuff that he had written. And we hadn't really learned how to group write really well yet.
Okay.
So after college, we got married pretty quickly, kind of separated with our families, just did family stuff, got somewhat normal jobs and had the band on pause for a long time. And then we just started back a few years ago. And I think in that meantime, not only did we all mature, but we both individually had a lot of group writing opportunities. We both are very active in our churches and play a good bit there. And so being able to write with other people there, and that's all, very deep personal stuff. And that's one of those environments where you bring your song. It's like, this is something that you want to protect, but you have to be willing to open that up to criticism and to people that care for you and want the best for you, but will help you. And so coming back into writing for Galebird, I think we had a lot of maturity the second time around. So that's been a lot better. Mostly it's me and Josh writing. Melissa's a great writer, but they have 4 kids, so they're pretty busy. So a lot of times me and Josh are working through stuff, and we got a song I can think of right now where we wanted to go 2 different directions, and it's just one that we're on pause until we kind of figure out what we're going to do. So we come to a head sometimes, but it's never, neither of us put all of our stake into one idea. So honestly, at the end of the day, if it goes his way, it is what it is. I have an opinion and it's okay. It'll still be great, I think, either way. So yeah, that's been a journey trying to figure out how to work together.
If I said to you as a band, next week you have an entire week at a studio to do whatever you want, what do you think you guys could accomplish in that week?
Man, I think it would take a day just to decompress from all the busyness.
Yeah.
And then, man, I would geek out. I think we could get so much done. I definitely think we could accomplish an album. Not only just the writing, but if we had the players, I think we could knock it out. I thrive in the studio. That's always been my favorite. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, my strongest point is when I can sit down and no one has to be watching me and I can just go to a click and go down over and over and over, get the right pass. Being on stage, I'm working on that one. That one's definitely Josh's expertise. So, man, we'd have so much fun. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and we could get an album done easy.
Do you typically write lyrics first and then music, or music and then lyrics and then Josh as well?
Josh is really good at themes. I think it's his like marketing, storytelling mind.
Yeah.
He'll see a concept before he gets specific lines.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times what'll happen is he'll have this great idea. And then we'll get together, he'll kind of pitch it. And then my role ends up being, how do I refine this, both lyrically and then musically to match and tell the story of this theme? And sometimes he'll come with full songs. He's a great writer. For me, most of the time I'm hearing melodies. I'm hearing music first. And then a lot of times trying to puzzle piece, a lyric that works well into what I've already heard. I feel like I'm an instrumentalist at heart.
And then is that guitar or piano or vice versa, or is it always guitar?
I like switching it up. I started on piano. I'm proficient in piano and guitar and a few other instruments. So I think if I'm writing, I write different if I'm on guitar versus on piano. And sometimes that's really useful. If we get stuck on a song, I'll switch over and maybe hear something a little different. I think if I had to choose, though, I get more out of the piano just because I think I can expand to different voicings quicker than on guitar. Instead of just getting stuck in, country chords, I'll quickly get out into some nice new stuff, I think.
Yeah. I've never played it. Well, I've tried to play instruments before, but I'm more of a listener and just fan of music. But I think if I did like really, put my mind to it, I would learn the guitar and the piano because for me, that would be the only reason to write a song or to be able to write a song.
Yeah.
Be able to do both of those for me is essential to be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to do it just one or the other. So to your point, I like that, idea of that.
Yeah. And I teach private lessons, and anytime a parent asks me what their kid should learn, always piano, always. there's just visually you see music so much easier.
Yeah.
Guitar is awesome. I love it. It's probably my favorite instrument, but the what you can learn from learning piano with the theory, with the way chords work and work with each other, you can't beat that.
Is it fair to say that the piano, if you're like looking at it as a house, right? The piano is like the foundation and the roof, and the guitar is like the doors and the windows. Is that fair to say?
I think it depends on the context. If I'm thinking about like producing a song, it might be, drums and bass feel foundational.
Ah,
But if
true.
you're thinking just music theory, I think piano definitely is the way to go. And if you have a foundation of piano, you can put in windows of guitar and then a door frame of mandolin. All that comes in so much easier if piano is your base. Not that it's not possible without it, but I think it's definitely foundational for music theory. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on it earlier, but I want to kind of go back into the touring aspect of it. So I guess routing and timing and all of that, is really definitive in your decision making for the three of you, correct? Because like you said, I mean, between families, between, life outside, between your day jobs, talk about kind of like that process and how you do book like a mini tour or any sort of like tour dates.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, obviously the biggest thing first of all is who's watching six kids, between the two families. We're very fortunate. We've got a lot of family in town. So usually our year looks like a handful, like sprinkles of local shows. And one of the benefits of that is we go all out. We love the live performance, and we want to make this the most fun country rock show you've ever been to. So we can be a lot more intentional when we only have 5, 6, shows a year. So that's been a lot of fun. I think for next year we are wanting to try to put together a couple trips. So we're in the very start of trying to figure that out. We don't know how it's going to work. We don't know if that's going to look like an RV with the kids during the summer, or if we've talked about potential of maybe me and Josh stepping out for a weekend just to do some duo stuff, just to kind of get our feet wet in that world of travel. But we've got the places. We've got a place in Dallas we've been talking with that wants to host us and bring us out. Place up in Lexington. We just got to figure out all the specifics. So we're still in process. We're kind of taking a break for the next 2 months from playing, both because of the holidays and everything with the family, but then really taking some time to think, what do we want 2026 to look like in the studio and on the road? So I'll let you know when we figure that out.
To be determined.
Yes.
Stay tuned. So, you mentioned it. The holidays are around the corner. What are the kids asking for this year? Like, what's the big
so
ticket?
so I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. The
Yeah,
7-year-old all about Beyblade. Do you know what Beyblade is?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
It's like the little tops that spin and fight each other. It's
yeah,
so fun because I remember those when I was a kid.
yeah.
That's all he wants. He could care less about anything else. And then my older son, he's all about sports. So the newest Madden or some football gloves. I'm not sure. They change a lot. Every other day they got something new on their list.
Yeah. So we had the very fortunate ability to visit your area last year around this
Nice.
time, actually.
Oh,
We
wonderful.
did a low country trip. We spent some time in Hilton Head. We spent some time in Sullivan's. We spent some time in Tybee. We went to the Tybee Island Theater or like concert venue there. Have you ever been there?
No, I don't even know where that is. Tybee
Oh,
Island?
Tybee Island,
Set down.
Georgia.
Georgia. Okay.
Yeah, but just like right over the border of like, not too far. I think it was only
Just
like
past
45
Savannah.
minutes from you guys. Yeah, yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep, closer to Savannah. But yeah, spent some time in Savannah and then, of course, spent 3 nights in Charleston. And I had not been there probably since I was a child. So, and it was my girlfriend's first time there too. And
Nice.
I was just so smitten. Like, and I just remembered like all of those times that hearken to those times when I was there when I was a child. It was just all came back, the colorful
Mhm.
houses, the park right along the water, like the market, like you said. I mean, just talk about living in a city like Charleston. Like, I just, yeah, it's got to be amazing, right?
It is, and it's honestly, I think, inspiring. I We get away to write too, so going up to the mountains in Asheville, oh, just it's inspiring as well. So nothing, I don't think it makes us better, but it is uh, a unique place. We've got a couple friends that live on the river, and there's something special about the marsh and the way the colors meet the sky, and especially like right around that golden hour. It's just beautiful, and then the history, is incredible here. There's some pretty incredible stuff still standing from revolutionary times, and great stories from that. So great stories we can draw from to continue with music. And there's a pretty vibrant music scene here. We were talking a little bit about that earlier.
Yeah.
So it's been wonderful. We live a little bit outside of the city, so I'm like maybe 25 minutes from downtown. A
Okay.
little slower pace, which I like. And even out here, there's some venues and little areas where they have an amphitheater just up the road up here in my neighborhood that they'll bring in some big shows, and
Okay.
it's wonderful. We love it here. And it got
Yeah.
cold this weekend.
Yeah.
Got down
Florida
in the
was in the 30s, right?
30s. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Pennsylvania weather, my friend.
Oh man, I couldn't do it.
No, I mean, in all honesty, like I think the last 5 years, actually, yeah, pretty much before even the pandemic, like our winters, like it gets cold, but it's nothing like it used to be.
Really?
Yeah, it's more like 30s, 40s, like in the winter now. It's not like
Wow.
zeros and tens. I mean, it happens every once in a while, but it's not as like steady as it used to be. Like I remember when I was
Mm.
like growing up, like in high school, like it's like weeks at a time where it was like under 10 degrees every day. Like
Mm.
that just doesn't happen anymore. Not a lot of snow
Interesting.
either.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your relationship with Matt and how Holy City and that how that all came about. You kind of
Yeah.
touched on it earlier, but like let's dive into that and how that relationship really came about.
Love it. Yeah. Matt Cyclone. He's a good friend of ours now. He runs the label Holy City Music.
Okay.
And about would have been year and a half ago, maybe about 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago, around this time, Josh started mentioning that he wanted to start Galebird back. And it was just beautiful timing because I was leaving a full-time job, and I had decided I was going to go freelance. And then all of a sudden he's out of nowhere and he's like, let's do this. And so he had known Matt. Matt has contracted in and does a lot of work with their church. They go to a church locally that has a great outpouring, like a lot of music coming out all the time. And so he does a lot of their stuff. And so he had contacted Matt about us recording a single. And so we got out to his studio and just have had such a great time working with him. And we ended up releasing, I think, 2 or 3 songs kind of out of our pocket. And then as we started developing that relationship with him, he ended up coming at us with the year contract with the label. And so just to cover studio stuff, and man, it's been awesome. He is just a master engineer. He's an Apple mastering artist. And then his studio is top notch. I think it's one of the best in Charleston. I've been to a number of them, and he's put a lot of effort and meticulous thought into every decision. I remember the weeks he was debating on what doors to put to go into the drum room. I didn't even know there were options, but yeah, he's put so much great love and care into this thing. And I think it shows. Like he's an expert at what he does, and he's a great producer too. He's got a great ear for what's going on and a great mind for marketing. It's different when you're trying to release music and grow an audience digitally. It's a whole different game. We've got our tactics locally, and they're succeeding. We're very happy with it. digitally, we're kind of at the mercy of how well our reels do, how well playlisting goes. And we've been, mildly successful with it, but we're also kind of trying to learn along the way, and it influences the way we record, and what we record. So Roses, that was our most recent release. We had that song written a year ago, and it was one of our favorites. We love that song. We're so happy with it. It means so much to us. But we didn't record it for the longest time because Matt didn't feel like it would be best for us growing an audience. And we wanted to capitalize and be very efficient with the few we could do. Yep. We were given 6 singles over the last year. So, with playlisting, we very quickly found out we're country. That's what everyone's telling us is, yeah, this is country. So it's all kind of ambiguous now. And we don't feel like we're completely country, but as far as the playlists go, that's how they've classified us. Maybe sometimes indie with some of the songs, but so that's affected us. And it wasn't until, was it last month when there were a lot of shootings around the US, and we felt like it was a season when everything was getting crazy online, that Roses felt appropriate. Just a reminder that, don't hold something back that you want to tell someone you love until tomorrow, because it's not guaranteed. You don't know if you're going to get it. So it felt appropriate with the climate of our culture, and so I am so glad we released it. It's more meaningful to us to have something that really feels like a part of us. So anyway, to answer your question, Matt's incredible.
It's such a difficult position to be in as a musician, because if you write a song that is either, like you just said, like either inspirational or, has a positive message, or one lyric, has something that like could be looked at as divisive or something, or, it's such a, it's like a tightrope that you have to constantly walk, especially nowadays, it's gotten a little better. Like, it seems like the woke revolution's kind of backed off a little bit, but, talk about that. Like, that has to be like always on your mind, right?
It is very interesting. And so Josh and I, we work out every morning, and it kind of functions as, let's start the day off. Obviously it's healthy, but we get to just talk about what's going on, catch up. We run a couple businesses, so figure out what do we need to do during the day, talk about, when are we writing next, what's coming up with Galebird, how are things going with bookings. And so we have an opportunity to talk a lot, and we have a lot we agree on. We have some things we don't, especially, with everything, with how divisive it can be. There are things that if we wanted to, we could let them be divisive, but we just have to choose that we know the things we agree on. And at the end of the day, those are way more important than the few things we don't. And so with our writing, that does influence it, because we're both aware, we wouldn't want to do something that would make anyone else in the band feel like they're having to take this stand for something that I, as an individual, believe in, which is difficult. I mean, coming on podcasts, that's another thing that's been interesting too. But it's so good for us, I think, too, because we're having to exercise that sense of humility to realize that, I don't have to be 100% confident in my opinion about every single little thing. Like, I have to give myself some room to, first of all, realize that I could be wrong. Second of all, realize that even though you don't agree with me, doesn't mean that you're of evil intent or you're wicked. Like, you could see this completely different and have a completely different upbringing and life choices that lead you to thinking that this is the best decision. And I see it different, and I don't have to agree with you, but I want to respect, like, I don't think you're just crazy. You have a good reason for coming to the conclusion you've come to. Yeah. And so I think it's given us the opportunity to talk through that. Fortunately, as far as, our faith goes and marriage goes, which is a lot of kind of what our songs are stemming out of, we're we're very much on the same page of like we want to be encouraging to others, and for men and women that are in relationships with other people, even if it's friendships, like those are valuable. We all need people in our lives, and I think especially as things are becoming more digital, having those tangible relationships become more and more important. We saw it during COVID. Having those are so much more important now, and so any bit of like effort we can pour into the atmosphere of what people are hearing that helps them remember, like, invest in this, it's worth it, it's so important for your health. We can completely agree on that. So in that sense, it's easy to write some of these.
Yeah, it's funny because you kind of touched on it a little bit. There is just so much hate and evil and everything that's just so negative going on. It's funny that there aren't more love songs being put out on the radio. Like even like just top 40, like, iHeart. Like it seems like when they are love songs, it's always like sexually based,
Mm-hmm.
or it's
Yeah,
very like provocative, or, whether it's the videos or the music itself. You know, I feel like maybe like we could use like a nice 80s Michael Bolton, like, Aretha Franklin, some
I
sort of,
agree.
like you feeling that as well? Like I feel
Yeah,
like the country's ready for that,
I agree with you. I think you're right, but I think it's going to have to be done in an interesting way, because I think people have become so desensitized with everything that it takes exaggerated emotions,
Yeah.
like hypersexualized lyrics or super depressing, or like it almost takes people having to go so far emotionally before they feel something, that to do just a kind of nice, clean,
Yeah.
I love you, I'm gonna hold your hand. I think it has to be done in a way that at least has something unique musically or lyrically that gives it that little twist. And I might be wrong on that, but it does seem like people want to feel things differently, because they're faced with so much inauthenticity with the way social media is wired. Like I know the second my parents start figuring out that Michael Jackson's not in McDonald's, on the reel actually serving fries, it kind of ruins something for you.
Yeah.
And so I think the more we see what AI and editing and computer graphics and things can do, the more we long for something authentic. And for some of us, I think it just takes, like, we feel like authenticity is deep emotion. Um, and some of the emotions like contentment and peace and joy aren't as exciting. Sometimes they're a little harder to get to
Yeah.
because you have to slow down. So I don't know. I do hope that people can start producing that kind of stuff, because it's equally as worth celebrating and important. I agree with you. Yeah, I think that would be wonderful.
I
We'll
think
work
too,
on it.
yeah. Well, I think that's why like horror movies are so
Oh
popular.
yeah, absolutely.
Because yeah, to your, people want to have that next level of like either excitement, terror, fear, whatever, like
Yeah, we were just at the city fair last week, and my 7-year-old was getting up on the drop, the big drop, and he asked me to go up on it with him. I was like, "Buddy, I'm sorry, I don't do this anymore." Oh man, I used to have reasons, like, trying to impress my now wife or friends. I have no reason to get up on this with you anymore. But yeah, I think people chase those things, and that can be super good and healthy. And
yeah.
I don't think it's wrong to, but it is interesting that we live in a society that so many people crave that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean in the 80s it was, Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. That was it,
Yeah, those are nothing now. Oh
Right,
my goodness.
Gremlins. But yeah, anyway. So so you mentioned about I Still Do and Roses, but the song that really just connects with me with you guys is I Can't Wait. Like
Oh, very well, very nice. That's
that
awesome.
song is just so I want to hear the story behind that. Did you write that? Did Josh write that? Like,
So that's
let's
one
hear
of the
this.
few that's an original. That's from our college days. So I think from that original EP, which we released as singles, but I Can't Wait and You'll Come Home were the two that we wrote in college. And that was a story, and he would tell it so much better, but Josh and Melissa, they were dating. And just that idea of like, I just can't wait to tell you I love you. Like, obviously, we both feel it. We just haven't said it yet. And there's just this tension of like, it's just, I can't help but say it. I've known it all along. But I just can't wait to tell you. So it's a fun, beautiful song. And I think it kind of fits in what you were talking about earlier. It's light. It's romantic. It's love, but it's not hypersexualized. And it is a ton of fun. And that song live is a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, is that on YouTube? Like, do you have that song live anywhere? Like for the public?
I wish we've struggled to get good live content. We have a little bit that's good. We were part of a radio show, so we have some videos that are going to be coming up, but it doesn't release until January, so we can't use any of that yet. So I don't know that we have that one. We've got a couple acoustic versions of us playing things, but not with a full band.
Okay. So were you guys then active during the pandemic, or had you taken a break at that point, or how did you guys as a family, professionally and personally, get through the pandemic?
Yeah, oh man, that's a great question. We had just had our son. He was we had that was 2020. So we had one son that would have been 4 and the other was 2. So my wife had just started a job that was necessary, so she was still working.
Okay.
I was at a job where I was able to work remote. So I was at home attempting to work and watch a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Wow.
And man, that was rough. But I think it was only 6 months that we had to make that work. And my job was, I was very blessed to have a good job that could help us navigate all that. But interestingly, so we weren't, as Galebird, we weren't really doing a lot, right. But that season was really helpful for me. So at the time I was working at a church and I was one of the music directors there. And once COVID shut everything down, we weren't meeting publicly for, a good few months. And so we did everything live stream. So rather than a produced service with an audience, for lack of a better word, that you would just do there, we were like video producing all the music. And it was so interesting to me. It almost gave me like a playground to practice being on stage and starting to feel comfortable. Like I mentioned earlier, I love being in the studio. I do well on camera. It's something about, a computer. It doesn't freak me out as much as, 1,000 people looking at me, waiting to see what I'm going to do.
I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I don't get it. Some people thrive in that. Josh thrives, but I've had to work at that. And so those couple months of doing that, not only were easier and more fun and freeing, but I think that they were kind of like formative with a lot of what I've come into professionally now with both Galebird and some of the other venues and things that I've been working on. So, and then I don't really know where Josh was during the pandemic. We didn't reconnect until a few years after that.
Okay. So when you go to a concert of either your favorite band or it's just Friday night and you're out with your wife and the band's playing, do you like look at it differently, or do you, are you looking for things? Are you like, can you really enjoy a live concert like watching a band, or are you one of
them? It's so sad. I struggle. I actually don't enjoy going to concerts. Usually once I'm there, I enjoy it, but the idea of going to the concert feels like work to me, because what I know I'm going to be tempted to do is analyze the whole thing, every aspect of it. And how can I incorporate that into my musicianship, into my stage presence, into my show? It's work. Same with listening to music. Honestly, I'm grateful I get to do a lot of producing for a lot of different artists. And so a lot of that involves listening to reference tracks. And so then I play cover gigs and I get hired in for some stuff. So I do ingest a lot of music, but it's almost always with like my mind completely turned on, focus, learning, listening. And I think a lot of that comes from college, like that kind of drill into you, like, this is an opportunity to learn. Don't miss it. You go to see someone playing jazz locally, you're there to learn. You're not there to enjoy it. That was kind of the vibe. And so I'm having to relearn how to enjoy music. So I would say I'm still struggling on the concert front. I have been to concerts recently and I've enjoyed them. But I can't say I get excited about going to a concert. I'm doing much better on the listening to music. And I think for me, it helps me to listen to music that is kind of above my pay grade. So then I kind of just I'm not going to learn this anyway. So I could just enjoy it. So I love, there's a guy from the UK named Jacob Collier, who just is a genius. And I love his producing. I love his vocal arrangements. I love his music in general. And I don't understand a lot of it. So I can just enjoy. And I've really enjoyed, there's a band called Polyphia. They're a kind of a more hardcore, more instrumental. I don't know what you would classify them as, but it's another one. It's not a genre I'm in a lot, and I just love the guitar stuff. So I'm working on it. I'm working up to the concerts again.
So do you remember the first concert you went to? And then what was the last concert you went to?
One of the last ones I went to was Joe Bonamassa. He came in town, and that was a lot of fun. I don't listen to him a lot. He's not my favorite blues artist, but I can't deny he's an incredible player. Oh my gosh, it was awesome seeing someone just shred. Great guy. I can't tell you my first, but one of the first that was really inspiring to me. I got to see George Benson in concert with a full orchestra.
Nice. Okay.
And as a guitar player and as a singer, to see him, oh man, it moved me, and it was beautiful. He's getting up there in age, and he's still just, he can make it work, man. He can shred.
Yeah, you hope that he's doing it because for the love and not because he's like needs to.
Well, either way, we get to enjoy it. So,
right. So, what are some of your favorite cities then that either you've played or that you visited in this country that you want to share about?
So I think for us, my wife and I, one of our favorite cities to go to is Asheville. It definitely, the artist vibe resonates really well with me. I love the breweries and the arts district up there. We haven't been since they had all that flooding, so hopefully some of it's been rebuilt and coming back. But that was kind of like it's 4 hours away. That was a perfect amount of time for we could get away for a weekend, feel like we completely escape, and just in that right distance away. I was out in Houston recently. I've got a good friend out there, and had a great time. I didn't get to see much of downtown, but whatever area we were in, it was very similar to Charleston. Not necessarily visually, but temperature. I was shocked. I didn't realize it would be so humid there. I think I just didn't know how close to the coast it was. So I had a great time, enjoyed that city, really loved Denver. And then out west, there's just so many, just the nature, all the national parks. And, you go from Phoenix up to Yellowstone, you can hit 10 of them and just, change your life. So I think if we had to move somewhere tomorrow, man, somewhere out in the West Coast, a Denver, a Phoenix, I think we would consider that.
Yeah. So are either one of your kids musically inclined? Do you think you have a singer or you got a musician on your hand?
You know what? I think so. I feel bad saying this. I'm a music teacher. I've got like 11 students, but I'm so bad at being consistent with teaching my boys. We'll go through seasons where it's like, all right, we're good for like 3 weeks and we do it. And they'll play on the piano. I can tell they both have great rhythm. They both have an ear. They're playing and figuring out stuff by ear. But I want them to love it, and so I don't feel too bad. I don't beat myself up for not investing a ton into them, with teaching them with lessons. If you know if it's in them, I think it'll come out, and I'll give them the download. I'll give them everything I got, and they can surpass me, and it'll be great to see.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to ever feel like, oh, this is the family trade. I got to do this because dad does it. So we're trying to figure that out and balance it. But if they want to, they could do some stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I mean, we kind of talked about, like you said earlier, about how, like, with playlists and stuff, that you're kind of being thrown into the country category, which obviously, like, like country is the biggest format in this country. So nothing wrong with that. But for me, like, I get more like Americana. Is that fair to say with your music?
We've definitely heard that, and there's a lot of Josh plays acoustic guitar, so a lot of his writing is based off of that. He loves groups like Need to Breathe. We were just talking about Mumford and Sons the other day. So he definitely is influenced by a lot of that acoustic folk Americana side of music.
So my last question for you, or maybe my last question, your ideal way to listen to music. Are you a headphones guy? Are you in the car, windows down? Are you in your living room with like good speakers? Like, what's your ideal way to listen to music?
I think I think I have two. So one is purely like, I'm not trying to dissect this. This is a vibe. I'm in my car, windows down, the little sunroof open, and I've got Anita Baker just blasting. I think if I really want to, there are times when I really want to enjoy the production and the creativity of a song, and so it's kind of like I'm semi working because I'm listening critically, but not trying to like replicate in my head, just to enjoy. I mix and master here at my house. I have a studio, so I've got that setup going and just sitting back in my chair, getting the full scope of how they've imaged the song.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to choose between the two. I guess it depends on the mood.
Yeah. I when I used to do album reviews, I would definitively listen to the entire album at least once on headphones, in addition to then, like, normally, just because to your point, like, there are definitely things that you miss, especially like, digitally. Like, if you're listening to music digitally, like, it's a big difference listening to it in headphones.
Yeah. And it's such a special thing as an artist for someone to listen critically and hear little nuances, because to us, it's like that made the song, but to the listener, it's so subliminal that a lot of times it gets bypassed. So that's so cool that you do that when you review albums. And I know it means a lot to the bands.
Well, yeah, because in songs where there's like that wall of sound, like, there's obviously things that are making that wall, and if you can pinpoint, or if you can pick out, like, that's cool. And you don't get that when just listening to it regularly. You have to listen to it in headphones.
Yeah, and that was one of my favorite things about the song Roses when we were recording. The whole idea, we needed a kind of quick turnaround, and so the idea was, all right, we're going to just do this acoustic and have Josh sing it. Yeah. And I was just like, we tracked the acoustic, and I was just like, I think we can do more though. So I took a couple of days, and I love cinematic music. And so we get that a lot too, is there are cinematic elements happening in the production. And so with Roses, I definitely took that approach toward the end of, I wanted the listener to be invested in an acoustic song, and then by the end, not realize they had gotten somewhere kind of different, but not sure, but it still felt acoustic. And so that's definitely one of those that I put all those little nuggets in there, and it means so much when people hear all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, you can only hear it on the headphones with like the good speakers.
Yeah. So last question. So if I were to ask your wife, what's her favorite song that you guys have done so far? Would you know her answer?
I think she would say I still do.
Okay.
It's got a catchy hook. She loves the concept. She's funny. So my wife, she's not a part of the band, but she is integral to the audience. So whenever she is at any of our shows, Josh calls her the confidence monitor because she's saying all the words to every single song and dancing. And so it's a reminder of what the words are for us when we forget. But she's such a supporter, and she's been incredible for the band. But yeah, I think I still do is her favorite.
Yeah. So merch design, who's doing the merch designs? Who's doing the
Yeah.
visual stuff? Who's taking that role, in the band?
The business side of all this has been really interesting, and they didn't teach that in jazz school. They didn't teach how to run a printify shop or your website. So fortunately, Josh has a lot of experience and a background in marketing and website design.
Okay.
That's one of the businesses we run to help fund Gilbert. And so he's running the shop, running the site. We're both together now, working on websites and designing and graphic design, logos. And so we partner with some people. We've got a good network of great artists in all fields. So our Galebird logo was not us. We hired a friend to come up with all the mock-ups and finally that logo. But a lot of the merch is us using that creatively, or Josh coming up with ideas. He's really good with it. And actually, one of our songs, "Crumble Down," it has a picture of Melissa, and it's a single line drawing. So it's one, complete line that draws the whole picture. That was my wife that did that. She's a portrait artist, and so she homeschools our boys. But on the side, she is an incredible portrait artist and very creative person. So we've got a whole team that we're all working on this together, and we're very blessed to have a lot of people in our corner, and we're excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah. Well, man, I cannot wait to get down to Charleston, and now you give me another reason to
Yeah,
come
let
down.
us
Yeah.
know. We'd love to hang out. Go to one of
Yeah.
your trivia events down here. We'll make it happen.
You talk to your people, I talk to my
We
people.
got it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Gail Bird, Mr. Sean, thank you so much for doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands and artists that we feature. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.